Today we're jumping into a short story that, at first glance, seems pretty simple. It's about a boy's last day in his French class. But the last lesson is actually this incredibly powerful story about what happens, what we lose when our language and our whole identity are suddenly stripped away.
Okay, so to really get what's going on, we have to set the scene. The whole story takes place right after the Franco-Prussian War. Basically, France lost, and two of its regions, Alsace and Lorraine, were handed over to Germany. This political change is the engine for everything that's about to happen. So we're going to follow the emotional roller coaster of this young boy named Franz, as his totally normal, kind of boring day turns into this life-changing lesson. We'll track his journey through these 5 key moments.
All right, let's meet our main guy, Franz. He is running late for school, and honestly, he's dreading it. Why? Well, he hasn't studied his lesson on participles, and he is terrified of his teacher, Monsieur Hamel. You know, the weather's nice, birds are chirping. He's really tempted to just play hooky, but he fights the urge and rushes to school.
So, as Franz is hurrying through town, he notices a crowd of people gathered around the bulletin board. This is the first red flag. For the past 2 years, that board has been the source of nothing but bad news. Lost battles, military drafts, you name it. He's in too much of a hurry to stop, but you can feel that sense of dread just starting to creep in.
And then, the second weird thing hits him when he gets to the school. Usually, the place is a total madhouse, right? Kids yelling, desks banging, all that chaos. But not today. Today, it's totally silent. Like Sunday morning quiet. It's really, really strange.
And then we get to the third and honestly the most confusing sight of all. He peeks into his classroom, and the back benches, which are always empty, are now filled with people from the village. He sees old Hauser, the former mayor, the old postmaster, all just sitting there looking super serious. Franz has absolutely no clue what is going on.
So Franz finally gets into the classroom, expecting to get a serious scolding for being late. But instead, his teacher, Monsieur Hamel, is uncharacteristically kind. And even weirder, Monsieur Hamel is wearing his Sunday best. This nice green coat, a frilly shirt, and a silk cap. An outfit he only busts out for special occasions. None of this is adding up for poor Franz.
And then, the bombshell drops. Hamel makes an announcement that explains everything. He tells them this is their very last lesson in French. An order has come from Berlin that starting tomorrow, only German will be taught in the schools. For Franz, these words hit him like a thunderclap. And suddenly, the quiet school, the crowd, the villagers in the back, it all makes this terrible, heartbreaking sense.
You know, that one sentence just completely flips a switch in Franz's head. It triggers this immediate, deep sense of regret and a sudden appreciation for all the things he had been taking for granted literally just minutes before.
And you can really see that total 180 he does right here. The books he thought were such a pain, suddenly they feel like old friends he's about to lose forever. The teacher he was so scared of, now he just feels pity and respect for him. He's just filled with this sense of sorrow for all the time he wasted, for every lesson he blew off.
And in that moment, Franz gets it. He realizes the villagers are there for the exact same reason he's feeling this way. They're there to pay their last respects to a language, a home, a way of life that's being taken from them. They're showing their own regret for not valuing it more when they had the chance.
What's really interesting is that during his speech, Hamel doesn't just blame the Prussians. He looks around the room and says, hey, we're all a little bit to blame here. He calls out the parents for sending their kids to work instead of school, the students for not caring enough, and he even calls himself out for giving them days off to go water his flowers. It's this incredible moment of shared responsibility.
And this brings us to the absolute heart of the story. Hamel says French is the most beautiful language in the world and tells them they must guard it. He uses this powerful metaphor, saying that when a people are conquered, their language isn't just words, it's their identity, it's their culture. It's the key that could one day unlock the door to their freedom.
So that final grammar lesson is different. Franz is hanging on every word, and for the first time ever, he understands everything perfectly. Then, for the writing lesson, Hamel gives them all new notebooks with France, Alsace written beautifully on them. The room is completely silent, filled with just the sound of pens scratching on paper. It's this shared moment of quiet sorrow and defiance. And the end comes so suddenly. The church clock strikes noon. At that exact same moment, you hear the trumpets of the Prussian soldiers outside the window, a brutal reminder of their new reality. Hamel stands up. He looks pale, and he's so choked up with emotion. He tries to say something, but he just can't get the words out.
So, since he can't speak, he does the only thing he can. He turns to the blackboard, grabs a piece of chalk, and with all the strength he has left, he writes in huge letters for everyone to see, "Vive la France! Long live France!" Then he just leans against the wall and gestures to them all. School is dismissed. The lesson is over.
You know, the last lesson sticks with you because it leaves you with this really powerful question. Franz's sudden, painful moment of clarity is something we can all understand. It really forces you to look at your own life and ask, what do I take for granted? What freedoms, what people, what parts of my own culture might I only learn to truly value when they're gone?